From MTN Sports, this is Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Welcome into Bobcat Insider, our first one of the 2022 season. I'm Ashley Washburn alongside Keaton Galogly, and for the next 30 minutes, we are talking about nothing but Bobcat football. Let's talk about Week 1, Gold Rush, your first ever experience. Can you even put into words?
It is our job to put this into words, and I got to say, it was miraculous, and even, I think it exceeded expectations. I got to be honest, when I first got here into Bozeman only about a month ago, people really pumped this stuff up to me, and I said, okay, we'll see. I wanted to make sure I watched the rodeo come out, which was everything I hoped it would be. And I mean, that had more pomp and circumstance, more energy, more intelligent kind of fan base in terms of knowing when to cheer, when not to cheer, than I've seen anywhere else. And I've been traveling around Big Ten country for the last decade, and this matched everything I've seen.
Yeah, I can't even say what that experience was on the sideline, but if you missed Saturday's game, here's sight and sounds from Gold Rush.
Oh, yeah! Go Cats! About that time.
We're back on our first episode of Bobcat Insider. I'm Keaton Galogly alongside head coach Brent Vigen. And coach, the first thing I really want to get into is Lane Sumner. Obviously a tremendous performance, but one of the things that really stood out about his performance in this Week 1 was his vision and his ability to kind of hit those holes throughout this game. What did you see in Lane's vision in this game?
Well, yeah, the zone game, you have to be able to see things, you got to be able to feel things, and really felt like Lane was very consistent in that. I think this type of running game suits him well, suits his ability well, and getting him to that second level, we were able to do that very consistently in large part just because of how he saw things.
You know, he's a guy who was banged up last season. He's a fifth-year player now, you know, Bobcat legacy. He says he's third or fourth generation MSU now, and he hasn't really had the opportunity to get these types of runs. So what were some of the things he was doing last season that set him up for success this season?
Well, I think when we got here at the beginning of 21, I mean, he was a guy that had played in 19, had been productive behind Isaiah. So we went in that first spring. I know we were taking a good look at Lane, and Lane did some things that first spring for sure that made us feel like, okay, he's going to be a productive guy. And then he got hurt that first game last season, and really never got back physically to where he had been. And I think the one thing you saw in him was a tough guy that's willing to do whatever he could, played special teams, kept getting him back into the fight, but at the same time, just wasn't healthy enough to really grab hold of an opportunity at running back. And one of our later season games, I know he made a run in particular when Isaiah was out that stands out to me, and that's just a singular play, but just his willingness to keep doing whatever it took. Had a really good spring, and Lane's not very tall in stature by any means, but he's put together well. He's explosive, more than you'd think. So it was great to see all that kind of come together for the first time, really, as the guy. All the running backs, they want to be the main guy getting the ball. They don't want to be a secondary player. They don't want to be a special teams player necessarily. But he's played those roles really well, and to see him take advantage of this opportunity was awesome.
Taylor Housewright talked a little bit last week just about his ability, Lane's ability to add some speed and be able to be a little more explosive. Would you see it as off-season work to be able to add something like that at this stage in his career?
Well, I think he's had a good stretch of health now, and anytime you're healthy, that time in the weight room, really going back to January for him can be very productive. He was pretty healed up by the time we were done last year. He wasn't healed up during the season, but he was able to have a really productive winter first and then stayed healthy through the spring. And I think he's continued to get faster and he's put on muscle, and that along with the natural instincts that he have, really served him well on Saturday, and we need that to continue through the season.
Lane's talked about coming to tailgates at Bobcat Stadium and in Bozeman, coming over from Huntley. How important is it to you as you build this program now in your second year to really make sure you're bringing those legacy players here into Bozeman and be a part of the program? Yeah,
I think legacy players that have a history of MSU, but just Montana kids in general. I think where they Bobcat football means a lot to them. It means a lot to their family. I think their willingness to do whatever it takes, I think, is that much greater. And then they're going to rub off on our guys that do come from out of state. We're going to have, in all likelihood, a few more guys from out of state than in state, but it's pretty close. And our guys that are from the state of Montana really have to be the ones that wave the flag, obviously, but teach our other guys just why Bobcat football is so important in the state of Montana.
Talking to Dennis Erickson this week after the Bobcat Hall of Fame ceremony, he talked a lot about your leadership and what he's seeing out of your program. How much does having those Montana kids in the club, in the locker room, really impact that type of leadership you have on this team right now?
Well, like them, I came from a small town in North Dakota and played for the school in state, so I think in my playing days, I think I felt that, what it meant to be an in-state guy playing for the state school, I guess. And I think calling back on my own experience, I appreciate that role. And I also appreciate a lot of our guys have been three-sport guys. They've went from one sport to the next, so their ability to develop within our program and become something pretty special is there too. And I know we have Montana players in all shapes and sizes playing all different positions, but it's not that they're all going to be these role players either. We're going to have some of those guys become stars on our team, and we had one of them, Troy Anderson, get drafted last year. I know we got a bunch of them emerging right now, and if we can find them here in the state of Montana, that's where we're going to start, and that's where we're going to continue to build from the ground up.
All right, we're going to get more into this matchup coming up next week with Morehead State with head coach Brent Vigen. But first, Ashley Washburn's coming up on the other side of this timeout with a great story about R.J. Fitzgerald, his story from walk-on to captain. Back with more of Bobcat Insider after this.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Hey, yo, run it up, 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 on a night and run it up, 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 on a night and run it up.
All right, RJ, one last drive as a Bobcat. When you look at this stadium right here, can you even sum up what the last 6 years have meant to you?
It's crazy, yeah. It's been a wonderful time, being in Bozeman, Montana, seeing it change and grow, and the stadium when we first got here, it wasn't really sold out for every game, and now this year you got people, trying to get extra standing room only tickets, and we might have to bring in another, set of bleachers or something, I'm thinking. So it's been awesome.
I think the craziest thing is when you look at your story, it took a lot for you to even get to this point, starting as a walk-on in 2017.
You know, Montana State gave me an opportunity, especially, I want to give shout out to Coach B.J. Robertson for, giving me an opportunity to play Division I college football, which was always been a dream of mine. And, coming from a small town of Dillon, Montana, to have that opportunity to represent your state. And, there's a lot of Bobcat fans in Dillon that I get to represent every single day. And it's been amazing to go to school here and be a part of this family.
Well, even just speaking of Dillon, I want you to describe, what Dillon, Montana means to you, because whenever people mention Dillon, Montana, I mean, there's just a real sense of pride in that place.
I grew up on a ranch. We had a cattle ranch and have sheep as well, so it's a hardworking small town where everyone knows everyone, and you don't really stop till the job gets done. And so I've kind of tried to carry that mindset on throughout my whole time here, and hopefully carry that on throughout the rest of my life. And I'm grateful to be from Dillon, Montana.
Well, I think the craziest part about your story is your family has a long, strong lineage of Grizz football players. Your dad, your uncle all played football at the University of Montana, but you chose to walk on at Montana State. Why was that?
Like I said, my dream was to always play college football, and having the opportunity to come here was awesome. And obviously I grew up on the other side of the rivalry, but after these last 6 years, I'm really excited to say that I'm a Bobcat for life.
I was going to say, you might have actually started a lineage of yourself. You get to share the sideline with your brother. What do you think that's going to mean this fall with it being your last?
Oh, it's awesome to get to go out every day to practice and see familiar faces, especially my brother. And we get to go compete against one another, even though my mom gets a little upset about that from time to time. But it's been awesome to have him a part of the team, and hopefully start that Montana State heritage.
Exactly. Well, to go from, walk on to scholarship player, now team captain, would you say that's one of the more prouder moments of your career here at Montana State, or is there one that sticks out the most?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially with it being a team voted award, I'd say that being a captain is a great honor, but it comes with a great responsibility, and I know I'm willing to complete those tasks and do whatever it takes for the team to win the football game, or I'll do anything for anybody on this team. I think that's just speaks to the 6 years I've been here and grown those bonds with every single teammate I've had.
Let's go. Come on now. Hey, we're fine.
Well, let's talk about last year. If last season was any indicator, coming back from an injury after doctors thought that you would be out the entire year, you kind of like proving people wrong. Where does that mentality come from?
Yeah, I think just being a walk-on, wasn't really a heavily recruited player, and I always thought that I was good enough to play at this level, and all I wanted was an opportunity. I would have walked on in a heartbeat, and once they said I could walk on here, I was full force to come in here and trying to prove people wrong, because that's kind of what I've been doing my whole life. I've always been a kind of an undersized football player and didn't really have a lot of the measurables that a lot of other college football players have, and kind of what people recruit towards. So just to have this opportunity and to try to continue to prove people wrong is just something that's been built inside of me.
Well, through all the struggles and triumphs, it's gotten you to this point on your field. You're a captain, final year with the Bobcats, and you're wearing the legacy number 41. When you look back at your career, what sticks out the most, and what is that number going to signify wearing that this fall?
I would say just what sticks out the most is how much we've came as a program. We started off as a below 500 team, and now we're competing for national championships, and we really put Bozeman on the map. And as you can see, this great facility we got built, and it's been awesome. And then obviously getting to wear the 41 is a great honor. I get to carry on that legacy of others before me and those that'll come after me. So it's been a great honor to have that number. Just looking forward to one last ride with the guys, and one last ride in front of Bobcat Nation.
Well, absolutely. When it is all said and done and you've got your final drive down on this field, what about your story do you want people to remember the most?
I just want people to remember how much I cared about my teammates, and that I was willing to do whatever it takes for them. And I was just a selfless person that really did whatever it takes to win for the team, and did whatever people will ask me.
Good luck this fall, RJ.
Run it up, 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 run it up,
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Back on Bobcat Insider with head coach Brent Vigen. I'm Keaton Gillogly, and we're getting ready for week 2 as Morehead State comes into town. And coach, is the Morehead State team that did win 7 games last year. They were only 1 game shy of winning the Pioneer Football League championship last year, but they're coming off an 0-1 start in week 0, and they gave up 359 yards on the ground in that first game. So what are some of the things you guys can do to attack them on the ground in this game?
Well, I think the first thing is just generally we got to respect what they're going to be capable of as far as improvement goes. 1 game does not make a season. They lost to a ranked team in Mercer, but at the same time you look at how did Mercer attack them? How would they have success? And it was a mix. They had good success on the ground, but they also had some good success through the air that probably loosened some things up. I think for us, this is a different game completely from last week. I think we know where they're going to be. They have a defense coordinator that's been there for a few years, so I think it fits well within our scheme. But we got to be really good at mixing the run, the play action, the RPO game, and try to keep them off balance as much as we can.
Yeah, through the air, we saw some good passes, and we saw a few underthrown balls from Mulata, so it kind of felt like a little bit of a mixed bag, but the wide receivers made some great catches. What are some of the improvements you want to see through the air in this game?
Well, I think just consistency, and consistency hopefully means a higher completion percentage, I guess. I think we completed 11 balls, and we'd like that number to likely double if we could. And to do that, we got to protect well again. I thought we protected well in the first game. I thought our guys ran good routes, and hopefully the game just does slow down a little bit for Tommy, and Sean gets some opportunities as well. I know that our coaches are going to put them in the best position possible, and a lot of it's just when we're going RPO game, we're taking the run or the pass, and if we make the right decisions there from a pass perspective, those should be high percentage completions that are getting the ball spread out to a lot of different guys. So it'll be a combination. I think we're going to have to continue to throw the ball down the field, which that's maybe not as high percentage, but the bang for your buck is there. And we were pretty successful with that on Saturday. And I think in all regards, we just need to take a step forward.
In that game, too, I got to go back to Willie P's performance. Willie Patterson made a couple of incredible catches. And, Mikey Ryder on the radio broadcast, he's a defensive back by trade. So he was impressed by some of the cornerback pressure against Patterson, but he still made those catches draped under some of that coverage. What did you see in his ability to get up beyond that pressure and make those catches?
Well, last year we played Willie inside so much. He didn't have those opportunities on the edge, so it was great to see him in game 1 go out there and be able to adjust the ball in flight. He had 2 on their sideline. One was in bounds, one wasn't, but they were both spectacular catches, and obviously his touchdown in the corner was an unbelievable catch. So I think it was things that we knew Willie could do, but it just didn't really come to the light all that much last year. And I think that it'll be a great springboard for him from a confidence perspective, both what he can do himself, but then also Tommy knowing that I can just throw it up there and Willie likely is going to make a play.
Against Morehead State on Saturday and this week too, what do you want to see from your defense, particularly in the secondary in this game?
Well, we didn't get tested a whole lot. I know that in particular on the edges. We put good pressure on, so that's got to be where it starts. The best coverage is speeding the quarterback's clock up, and we did that pretty consistently on Saturday. We need to do that again. And I think from a secondary perspective, if we get tested, we got to hold up. But more than anything, we got to be in the right spot. We got to tackle. I think that was more our issues on the back end on Saturday when a few of those bigger plays happened. Those guys have to be there to be that final line of defense to get the ball down. So I think we can improve in every area, but the biggest thing I'd say is just stopping the big play. Ultimately, we don't want the ball to get behind us in the secondary, whether that's through the run or the pass, and we got to do a better job of that.
Finally, 21,000 plus at Bobcat Stadium this last week. They've already announced that they've only got standing room only tickets left for the entire rest of the season. You've been around a long time. You've traveled all over the country coaching football and playing football. How special is that environment at Bobcat Stadium?
Well, it's an electric atmosphere. And, whatever the size of your stadium is, I suppose that dictates the capacity, but it doesn't dictate the electricity. And, our crowd is into it from the jump. Our students are awesome. I think our marketing team, whoever's putting the music on, I think they do a great job of, getting the crowd into it. And, we hope that whoever we play, wherever they're coming from, whatever the stakes are that particular Saturday, that our stadium's full and our crowd is crazy, because that does have a huge impact, on our kids on the field, on how recruits view our opportunity here at Montana State. So keep filling those stands and keep cheering loud.
All right, Cat Country's going to come up and show out loud again coming up on Saturday against Morehead State for the 1:30 p.m. kickoff time. For head coach Brent Vigen, I'm Keaton Galogly, and on the other side, we'll have Ashley Washburn back as we'll get you the inside scoop to get you ready to roll for Saturday's kickoff on Bobcat Insider.
Take coverage of the Cats with you. Download our app for your favorite mobile device today. Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Welcome into Bobcat Insider. We've just got a couple more minutes left, and we're going to get you ready for Saturday. So, Keaton, we've heard from Vigen about what he's looking for with this team, but what are you going to be looking for up in the booth?
I got two things on the defensive side I want to see. First of all, Sebastian Valdez is a guy that this coaching staff really wanted to make another step this year, and he kind of did that in week 1. How does he follow that up? How is he making those big plays in the backfield? Secondly, we go to the secondary. With Rylan Ort still out for another 4 games, including Saturday, who's going to step up into that spot? Reddy Short, Kendrick Bailey both got some time in week 1, but neither of those guys really grabbed a stranglehold of that position. So who's going to make the right decisions? Who's going to be the sure-handed tackler? Who's going to make a big play in the secondary on Saturday?
Those are some good questions. Well, if you're talking about the defense, let's talk about the offense a little bit. Going into fall camp and going into this first game, we've heard how deep that running back rotation was going to be. It was a little bit of a surprise to not see that Kagan started on Saturday and Link Sumner was kind of thrown in there, but he really stepped up to that role. So I'm really excited to see how he responds in week 2. Can he be consistent? Consistency is a word we keep hearing, but I also want to see Jared White, true freshman. He had a great first game. In my eyes, I'm seeing hopefully 2 running backs rushing for about 100 yards each.
So certainly some question marks, but you know what we don't have any questions about? What this atmosphere is going to be like, because I know Cat Country is going to be out and loud again.
Oh, absolutely, and especially, I mean, if you haven't got tickets yet, I think there's just a couple standing only left. It's going to be an insane atmosphere. If Gold Rush was any indicator of what this season is going to be, it's going to be a pretty special one for Bobcat football.
All right, we got our first Bobcat Insider down. We hope you feel informed, feel excited, and ready to go for Saturday. We'll be back next week for another episode of Bobcat Insider. For Ashley Washburn, I'm Keaton Galogly.